Joining me on the program now from the Maxim Institute, Maryanne Spurdle. Maryanne, kia ora, thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Now, over the weekend, busy weekend for you, you were a keynote speaker at a conference of Christian medical professionals. Now, I have accidentally referred to you as Dr. Maryanne Spurdle before, but you're not a doctor and certainly not a medical doctor. What?
And I wasn't a keynote speaker.
Well, okay, you were a speaker.
I gave an update.
and you had notes. Okay, yeah, okay. So I'm talking it up a little bit, but work with me here. You were a speaker at the conference, but of course, as a speaker at a conference, you also get to hear what other people are saying. The conference, yes, it's about the speakers, but it's even a bit more about the networking and the sharing of ideas. What were some of your takeaways from the conference? What were some of the key ideas that were being communicated?
Well, the actual keynote speaker is Dr. Megan Best from Australia, and she's
doctor.
both real doctor.
Yeah.
She's a palliative care specialist and an ethicist, so a very useful person in this space. And she's been really outspoken in Australia, as most of their states have brought euthanasia in through law. So her talks were really relevant, and then I'll share a little bit about what she spoke about because I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot just being there among medical professionals, hearing what on the front lines they're finding challenging, especially as Christians, because things ethically are not straightforward. Things are being made more complicated for them than they already would be. So that it was really humbling and just really encouraging to be in a room full of people who are doing the real work in this area. Because as you know, I've been working on, just finished up, a paper called Interrogating Choice, Euthanasia and the Illusion of Autonomy. So I'm looking at the law here. I'm looking at how it impacts medical professionals and how it impacts people with end-of-life choices. So it's really useful for me to be there listening to what she was saying. She really drew out how we've got really underlying issues when we get into these life discussions, and how increasingly the government, even those leading the medical profession, are seeing humans through like a mechanistic lens instead of spiritual and physical. We're just material, very materialistic. And if you draw that to the logical conclusion, you strip out the moral aspect of, in this context, medical choices. And so you're not asking what is moral, you're asking what is legal. And if it's legal, then it's moral. Not asking what is good in the true sense of good. You're saying, well, what provides the most utility?
What can we get away with? And
we've got budgets and resources and
And hey, look, I understand that there is an aspect of medical care where some of these resource allocation questions need to be asked. But hey, if one way of treating a patient and being able to move on to the next patient is for that patient to make the choice to end their own life, that's certainly a sobering reality. And I know this is an area that you're very concerned about. You've done a lot of research in this area, but to be in a group of medical professionals for whom this isn't a theory, this is their day in, day out life, and also very concerned about what's on the horizon.
Yeah, and that's the trouble. Things are probably going to change because once euthanasia is legal, you don't have this natural boundary between what you can and can't do. You've got arbitrary ones like 18 and up, 6-month prognosis, things that may or may not stay in place. So for medical professionals, and this is one of the things that came out, if you erode the freedom of conscience that legally medical professionals have to opt out of actively ending another life, if you erode that, then what you end up with, and it's already happening, and this was interesting hearing people on the ground who are seeing who's coming through, who's leaving different specialties, you're going to have fewer people at beginning of life and end of life care who would draw a line at actively ending life because they don't want to be compromised. And the Ministry of Health in the area of euthanasia, in its review last year, would like to erode the conscience rights of practitioners, it's like if you're not actually administering the lethal drug, you should be okay with being involved in any other way, even though for some that would offend their conscience. And what Megan Best brought out was there needs to be alignment between what we believe and what we do. So asking a medical professional, no, demanding that a medical professional do something that offends both their conscience and what they think is best for another human being, that is morally damaging to them.
And if not administering the drug, then the requirement for them to recommend them onto somebody who will, to be involved in that chain and process in some way.
Yeah, to provide all the paperwork to aid them. And there might be some who go, well, I'm not doing it. They're going to do it anyway. And they can, for them, it's not a conscience issue. But there are many, many, many for whom it is. They did not go into this profession to do that. And now requiring them to do that, people are leaving the profession. The other thing that the ministry would like to do is mandate that all care facilities, so rest homes, hospices, be required to allow euthanasia on site.
Wow.
And the problem with that is it impacts residents, it impacts staff, and it's not theoretical. If this happens, you will have people leaving. There's one hospice that opted in to allowing euthanasia on site and has actually been quite pro it. And I know from talking to somebody who was there that they lost their charge nurse and over a dozen staff as soon as they made that decision. People literally walked because they did not want to participate in it. That's not why they signed up. If the ministry pushes forward mandating this in those places, they're going to be, and we don't have enough palliative care staff. We don't have enough hospices. We're already short. Not everybody has access. If you put that requirement on them, people will leave and we will have fewer people working in those spaces. The ones who remain, who have a problem, they're going to be under greater pressure. And I've read stuff from overseas where burnout is more common. It degrades and undermines everything. So it's a very real concern.
I mean, honestly,
people.
This would have to be one of the toughest jobs in the world. I could not do it. And that's not because of my total lack of medical training. That's also a thing. But actually the emotional, the spiritual toll in caring for people in their last days and their last hours would be exhausting anyway. And this also flows in the opposite direction of actual choice. This is what we were promised, I suppose, although not many of us believed the promise that this would bring choice. Everybody likes choice, don't they? You can choose to be involved in this thing or you can choose not to. It seems the choosing not to, particularly for medical professionals or hospices, often founded by Christian charities, don't get that choice of whether or not this is something that they are happy or willing to participate in.
The current climate in the ministry, when it's related to these issues, is favoring some choices more than others, and it's definitely favoring limiting certain people's choices, and they're not arbitrary choices. If we are not just made up of cells, if we're not machines. So you've got the machines that are broken and need fixing, and then you've got the machines that are there to do the fixing. And if something can't be fixed, then you pull the plug. Like if we're machines, then it makes sense. But if you want to die well and you understand that we're not just machines, then it's more than just, well, what's the cheapest that creates the least suffering? Like those are not the only questions you have to ask. You have to ask questions around relationships with people who love that person as they're dying. You have to value things like endurance and care for one another. And those things are all part of the story as well. Dying well and not just experiencing the least suffering. Want to experience the least suffering, but that's not the only question you're asking.
Exactly.
If we're just machines, that's the only question you ask.
And the whole palliative care question and reducing suffering doesn't mean ending life, of course. And some hope on the horizon, I suppose, with Tanya Unkovich's bill to say, hey, why is it that all these medical procedures are covered and yet palliative care needs to have a bake sale in order to get the funds for the essential work that they do? That there's a bill in the ballot, I understand, on this topic to get funding for hospices. Do you know if there's any political climate to push back on some of this requirement for hospices and aged care facilities to be involved with euthanasia at a compulsory level?
There's nothing in the pipeline that would change the Act at the moment, but that doesn't mean there won't be.
Yep.
And the ACT Party is already behind a bill that would push out the 6-month prognosis.
Yeah.
So that's in the tin, and then Tanya's bill is in the tin. And so either one of them could be drawn. The palliative care one, I think it would require more reporting and, what is offered, what requirements should there be for the Ministry of Health? Because if you offer everyone euthanasia, but you don't offer everyone palliative care,
Yeah.
that's really not a free choice.
No. Yeah.
Just at the most basic level, would you like to suffer and have no one there
Yeah.
to ease your symptoms and die alone, or would you like euthanasia? Like, that's not a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Serious stuff indeed, but thank you for the work that you were doing, and also, passing on what you heard at the conference over the weekend. I know that this is something which, hey, it's going to affect all of us at some stage of our life, but such important work. Now, you talked about the article interrogating choice. Is this available or soon to be available for people to look at? How do people access that, Maryanne?
It will be available publicly soon. We brought a one-page summary to the conference, and so keep an eye on the website. Or if sign up online for Maxim's email, and when it comes out, you'll hear it as soon as it's out there. Yeah.
No, I've had a look at the summary and can't wait to read more. Maxim.org.nz for more information, and would encourage people to sign up for the mailing list there as well. Thank you for the work that you do on this important topic. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.